wanna know how I got these scars?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 23 performances of each year, from 2000 to 2022.
I wish I could shield you from the knowledge that you did what you did, but your sister is dead!
For this list, we're looking at cinema's finest performances from each year of the 21st century thus far. What's your favorite performance of the past 23 years? Let us know in the comments. 2000. Christian Bale, American Psycho. 2000 was a year of transformative performances. Tom Hanks gained 50 pounds only to lose the weight as Chuck Noland in Castaway.
Well done! Well done!
However, Christian Bale perhaps went through the most startling evolution. Sure, Bale is a good-looking guy like Patrick Bateman is. Just as Bateman has his unnerving body care ritual, though, Bale fully committed to getting the Bateman look down, even having his teeth capped. Physical appearance aside, Bale seemed an unlikely candidate to play an axe-murdering psychopath at the time, being best known for his childhood roles in movies like Newsies. Bale changed our perception of him here, balancing dark humor, terror, and extreme narcissism in a riveting performance. Author Bret Easton Ellis thought his book was unfilmable. It might have been without Bale.
But they should, because it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trends, it's also a personal statement about the band itself. Hey, Paul! Ah!
2001. Halle Berry, Monsters Ball. Only 2 years after portraying the first African-American to be nominated for the Best Actress Oscar, Dorothy Dandridge, Halle Berry became the first woman of color to win in this category. Ironically, there was a point where Berry feared Monsters Ball would end her career due in part to the risque subject matter.
It's a very passionate, but very kind of explicit
Very
scene.
explicit, and I thought if people don't get it, you know, this will be bad.
Yeah.
Yet Berry felt she had to take the role. Her risks paid off with one of the most devastating and resilient performances we've ever seen. Every time it looks like Berry's Letitia has been through the worst, another catastrophic storm awaits.
You gonna take her home, ain't you?
While by no means an easy film to watch, Berry's bravery sees us through the roller coaster of grief. She may break your heart, but Letitia's will to survive subsequently mends it. 2002. Andy Serkis, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. We've seen performers escape behind makeup, i.e. Nicole Kidman's Oscar-winning work in The Hours. With his game-changing performance as Gollum, though, Andy Serkis highlighted the advantages of digital makeup. While he had help from a team of special effects wizards, Gollum wouldn't have been nearly as believable without Serkis on set, providing the character's expressions, movements, and raspy voice.
They're thieves. They're filthy little thieves.
Just as the character possesses a split personality, the audience goes back and forth on how to feel about Gollum/Smeagol.
Master's my friend. You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you. Not listening.
Ranging from humorous to sympathetic to intimidating, Serkis runs a gamut of emotions in the role, while also taking on an assortment of physical obstacles. The work that goes into motion capture remains underappreciated, with Serkis being the poster child for the challenges it entails.
What did they steal?
2003. Charlize Theron, Monster.
And I didn't want to die thinking that maybe he could have loved me. So I killed him. I shot him, all right?
Unrecognizable is a word that gets tossed around a lot when it comes to biopic performances, almost to the point that it's become a cliche. In the case of Charlize Theron as Eileen Wuornos, though, few other words do it justice. There's so much more to Theron's transformation than the uncanny prosthetics and 30 pounds she gained. She gets inside Wuornos' head, unearthing what made her a monster. In doing so, Theron also finds Wuornos' humanity, although not to the point where we're willing to forgive the atrocities she committed. Theron got into character by traveling through Wuornos' old stomping grounds of Daytona, Florida with director Patty Jenkins, who knew there was only one person who could tackle this demanding part.
If you can forgive me for... 'Cause I don't know
I can forgive myself.
2004, Jamie Foxx, Ray. There have been so many music biopics over the past couple of decades that they're starting to blend into each other. Yet Jamie Foxx's turn as Ray Charles still rises above all others as the gold standard.
I'm singing about my feelings for you, about how I love you. What could be more natural than that?
Although Foxx was dubbed for the film's singing portions, everything behind the piano is all him. This is even more impressive considering that Foxx glued his eyes closed, making him blind for much of the shoot. Foxx only got to meet the real Charles once, playing the blues on separate pianos. Charles gave Foxx his seal of approval, saying, quote, "The kid's got it." Charles died shortly before the film's release, with Foxx's Best Actor-winning performance serving as the perfect tribute to the legend and the man.
Baby, when I walk out that door, I walk out alone in the dark. I'm trying to do something that ain't nobody ever done in music and business. But I can't do it if I'm alone everywhere I go.
2005, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Capote. For years, Philip Seymour Hoffman was often listed among character actors who might not be household names, despite always turning in reliable performances. That all changed with Capote, which propelled Hoffman to A-lister status.
Hey, this is my work, Perry. I'm working. And when you want to tell me what I need to hear, you let me know.
Truman Capote was such an over-the-top persona that it would be easy for any portrayal to feel like a caricature. While Hoffman gets Capote's mannerisms and accent down, his goal wasn't to deliver a spot-on impression. The true challenge was expressing the author's, quote, vitality and the nuances. The result is a more layered portrait than some might have anticipated. Hoffman's Capote is confident, but lonely, insecure, and regretful underneath, sacrificing part of his soul for his art. After you've seen the film, you will never look at Hoffman or Capote the same way again.
I did everything I could. Okay.
2006, Kate Winslet, Little Children. Jennifer Hudson made a show-stopping acting debut in Dreamgirls, but Kate Winslet topped herself in Little Children. Sarah Pierce is trapped in a loveless marriage and boring suburban life. Something inside Sarah is awakened when she meets a hunky fellow parent named Brad. Sarah and Brad's relationship seems destined to end in heartbreak, but they delude themselves and the audience into thinking that it will somehow work out.
How long are we gonna sneak around together? How long can that last? I can't do this anymore.
No, don't say that. As long as I know that we're gonna have this.
Have what? What is this?
Some might call Sarah a feminist. Others might call her reckless. Either way, we empathize with Sarah's desire for something more out of life. In the end, the most Sarah can do is be a dedicated mother, hoping that her daughter's life will be more fulfilled. Winslet has arguably never been more compelling to watch on screen. 2007, Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood.
Do you understand, Eli? That's more to the point. Do you understand? I drink your water. I drink it up.
Few actors have taken more chances throughout their careers than Daniel Day-Lewis. There Will Be Blood might have been his biggest swing, resulting in a performance that hits the audience like a tidal wave of oil. Paul Thomas Anderson had Day-Lewis in mind while writing the character of Daniel Plainview, an oil baron whose greed snowballs into insanity. Day-Lewis drew some inspiration from the Treasure of the Sierra Madre director John Huston and old recordings from the film's era. Yet it's hard to compare Plainview's voice, delivery, or presence to anything we've seen before or since. Day-Lewis created a towering, unpredictable figure who stands on his own. This performance could have backfired in so many ways, but everything about it is iconic.
Say it louder.
I've abandoned my child! I've abandoned my child! I've abandoned my boy!
2008, Heath Ledger, The Dark Knight. Whenever an actor steps into an established role, they run the risk of repeating their predecessors. With Heath Ledger as the Joker, it was as if we were meeting this character for the first time. Ledger originally auditioned to play the Dark Knight in Batman Begins. At the time, many could imagine Ledger in that role, but they were more skeptical of him playing the Clown Prince of Crime. The second Ledger takes off his mask and delivers his first line, any doubts are swept away by a haunting, transcendent, and darkly humorous performance.
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
We've seen others come close to capturing what Ledger achieved with the character, but his portrayal was truly lightning in a bottle, winning a posthumous Academy Award.
Well, you look nervous. Is it the scars? You want to know how I got them?
2009, Christoph Waltz, Inglourious Basterds. Inglourious Basterds is one of Quentin Tarantino's best, but he almost didn't have the courage to make it. This is due to the character of Hans Landa, a role he thought might be unplayable. He nearly pulled the plug on the film until he auditioned Christoph Waltz, who wasn't widely known outside of Europe.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo.
The embodiment of Nazi evil, the audience is horrified whenever Landa walks onto the screen. Yet Waltz is such a scene stealer that we also get excited. Behind his charm, wit, and unique way of saying bingo, every fiber of Landa is callous. Landa relishes in every maniacal action he commits with smiling glee, seemingly being a step ahead of everyone. You can't always predict what a bastard will do next, however.
Are you mad? What have you done? I made a deal with you, General, for that man's life!
2010, Natalie Portman, Black Swan. To watch Black Swan, you need to mentally prepare yourself. Not just because of the more graphic moments, but because Natalie Portman's performance is so emotionally draining.
Just want to be perfect.
You what?
Want to be perfect.
Every second Portman is on screen, we can sense everything she threw into this role, from the nearly 20-pound weight loss, to the 6 months of ballet training, to the emotional turmoil that Nina conveys. To an extent, the role mirrors Portman's career. Just as Nina must transform from innocent white swan to seductive black swan, Portman strove to mature out of her child star days with more daring roles. Nina was the boldest part she could have asked for. She's a vision of perfection in the role, which reminds us that such perfection can come at a price.
What did you do? What did you do?
I felt it.
What?
Perfect.
2011, Octavia Spencer, The Help. In 1997, Octavia Spencer moved to LA at the suggestion of Tate Taylor. About a decade and a half later, Taylor directed Spencer to an Oscar-winning performance. By this point, Spencer had already popped up in numerous movies and shows. With her funny, empathetic, and fearless portrayal of Minnie Jackson, though, more audiences came to see what a versatile talent Spencer is.
What law's gonna say you got to be nice to your maid?
You don't have to do this now, Minnie.
You damn right I don't. You two give me heart palpitations.
Minnie has the guts to do to her employers what most people in her shoes would only fantasize about. However, Minnie still struggles to summon the strength to leave her abusive husband, finding courage in an unlikely friendship. Spencer was offered similar parts after The Help, but she felt she had already played, quote, the best damn maid role written, inspiring her to pursue new horizons.
We ought to burn the chicken a little.
Minnie don't burn chicken.
2012, Joaquin Phoenix, The Master. There was a period in Joaquin Phoenix's career when he seemed lost and confused. This was largely because people didn't realize he was shooting a mockumentary called I'm Still Here. After playing such a warped version of himself, it's fitting that Phoenix's next part would be Freddie Quell, a wandering soul desperately seeking guidance.
Tell me why you're not with her if you love her so much.
I told her I'd come back and I never went back, and now I gotta get back to her.
Why don't you go back?
I don't know.
Why don't you go
I
back?
don't know!
Freddie seemingly finds what he's been looking for in a cult helmed by an enigmatic leader. From the Navy to Lancaster Dodd, Freddie has spent much of his life following others. We're left to ask if Freddie can ever be his own master. For that matter, can any of us? In any case, Phoenix is a master of the screen, commanding every scene he's in with an unpredictable allure.
And I'm not in it. I'm not in it. Window, and I can leave anytime I want. But I choose not to. I choose to stay here.
2013, Leonardo DiCaprio, The Wolf of Wall Street. As happy as we were to see Matthew McConaughey win an Oscar for his hard-hitting performance in Dallas Buyers Club, we'd argue that that year's Best Actor was Leonardo DiCaprio as Jordan Belfort. DiCaprio's portrayal of the titular wolf demonstrates that there's really no line between your average Wall Street hotshot and a fraternity brother. Every waking moment is a crazy party, making you feel so invincible that consequences appear non-existent.
Look, I know you're not following what I'm saying anyway, right? That's okay, that doesn't matter. The real question is this: was all this legal?
This makes the fall from the top all the more brutal, but you never doubt that Jordan would do it all again in a heartbeat. Belfort requires a performer who can act privileged enough to despise, yet charismatic to the point that we can't look away. DiCaprio sells the performance, along with this pen.
Sell me this pen.
2014, Jake Gyllenhaal, Nightcrawler. Not every actor deservingly wins an Oscar like J.K. Simmons for Whiplash.
You never earned anything. God, you are a self-righteous prick.
Jake Gyllenhaal shockingly wasn't even nominated for his chilling work in Nightcrawler. Gyllenhaal created a villain for the ages in Lou Bloom, a con artist who, as far as we're concerned, has no past. We know nothing about who he was before the film's events. He's almost like an alien who fell out of the sky. He may look human and talk like one, albeit in an unnervingly calm manner. What he lacks is the basic human emotion of empathy, something that isn't required in the stringer profession. In place of compassion, Lou compensates with ambition, not letting anyone or anything stand in his way of getting what he wants.
You filmed him dying.
Hey, that's what I do. It's my job. I like to say that if you're seeing me, you're having the worst day of your life.
2015, Cate Blanchett, Carol. Show, don't tell. It's a fundamental rule of storytelling, yet one that many filmmakers neglect to follow. With Cate Blanchett's Carol, almost everything is on the surface, requiring the audience and Rooney Mara's Therese to read between the lines.
I mean, I want to ask you things, but I'm not sure that you want that.
Ask me things, please.
When Carol leaves behind her gloves at the store where Therese works, one could see it as an innocent mistake. It's truly an invitation to further explore the chemistry between the two. Given the 1950s period and Carol's marital status, the subtlest codes have to speak a mile a minute. When Carol and Therese finally express their love, it's as satisfying as it is romantic.
I love you.
Blanchett is mysterious, exquisite, and devastating as a woman navigating romance, parenting, divorce, and social status in a trying time. 2016, Mahershala Ali, Moonlight. Appearances can be deceiving. Mahershala Ali's Juan is a drug dealer, so obviously he's a bad guy, right? Well, he is contributing to the crack epidemic, not only hurting his customers, but their loved ones as well. When Juan meets the neglected Chiron, however, he shows his true colors.
At some point, you gotta decide for yourself who you want to be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you.
He emerges as the father that Chiron never had, trying to provide stability and send him down the right path. Had Juan been raised in another environment, his tender side might have been embraced. Instead, Juan must play the role he was born into to survive, even though he'll still likely die young. Ali brings warmth to the character, who wishes to do right by Chiron. But can this compensate for his other actions?
You gotta know right now. Alright? Not yet.
2017, Frances McDormand, 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. We live in frustrating times, and perhaps no modern character better epitomizes these feelings than Frances McDormand's Mildred Hayes.
You ain't trying to make me believe in reincarnation or something, are you? 'Cause you're pretty, but you ain't her. She got killed.
We'd like to live in a world where the police track down all wrongdoers, justice is served, and we're left with some sense of closure. It's not always that simple, as is the case with the unsolved murder of Mildred's teenage daughter. Mildred just wants answers, but she only hits roadblocks around every turn. With the world against her, Mildred's rebelling turns into anarchy. It does little to help her cause, but McDormand helps us to understand that Mildred feels as if she has nowhere else to go. All she has left is the illusion of control, which she will reach for no matter what the consequences.
At least I had a day of hoping, and that's more than I've had for a while.
2018, Toni Collette, Hereditary. Performances in horror movies often go overlooked by the Academy. hence why Toni Collette infamously was not nominated for Hereditary. While this Ari Aster film includes supernatural elements like covens and demonic possession, it also organically incorporates real-world horrors like fatal accidents, sudden loss, and the realization that your mother might have been happier if you were never born.
I never wanted to be your mother.
This is where Collette shines the most, playing a parent overcome with grief, resentment, and the walls of sanity crumbling around her. When Collette does take on a more monstrous form, her screen presence is as disturbing as anything we've experienced this century so far.
I love you, Steve. I love you so much.
Collette manages to be the most sympathetic and scariest character, a feat we haven't quite seen since Reagan in The Exorcist. 2019, Renee Zellweger, Judy.
Everybody has their troubles, and I've had mine. I probably had everybody else's too.
This biopic is about Judy Garland, but parallels can also be drawn to Renee Zellweger's career. Like Garland, Zellweger was one of the industry's biggest stars for years until suddenly disappearing from the limelight. Their Hollywood hiatuses might have been backed by different reasons, but Garland and Zellweger were presented with the same question: is there any coming back? Especially given how this industry treats women of certain ages?
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Garland's life ended in tragedy, leaving us to wonder what could have been. Zellweger not only came back, but she returned on the highest note possible with a performance that explores Garland's demons while paying tribute to her. Between Zellweger and Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, this year's lead acting races were virtually locked up come Oscar time. 2020, Carey Mulligan, Promising Young Woman. In 2020, we lost one of our most promising young actors, Chadwick Boseman, who delivered a tour de force with his final film performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Come on and turn your back on me. Turn your back on me. Come on, where is you?
Carey Mulligan played a promising young woman whose life took a turn after her best friend met a tragic end. Mulligan's Cassie dedicates her nights to freaking out quote-unquote nice guys who don't understand the meaning of consent. As Cassie tracks down those responsible for her best friend's demise, her master plan comes into frustration, keeping us guessing with every move. Cassie is intimidating and unforgiving, but also hilarious and outspoken to the point that we'd like to hang out with her. Being Cassie's friend is much better than the alternative of being in her notebook.
You know, I was affected by it too, okay? I mean, it's every guy's worst nightmare getting accused like that.
Can you guess what every woman's worst nightmare is?
2021, Daniel Kaluuya, Judas and the Black Messiah. Fred Hampton is one of the most important names in African American activism. While this biopic depicts Hampton's natural leadership skills, Daniel Kaluuya's Oscar-winning performance brings out qualities that people didn't always see at rallies: his shy side, his vulnerability, and his love for the family that he was just starting to build before the betrayal that abruptly ended his life.
That's when I knew I had to protect him. I mean, looking at that photo, how could you not feel that way?
As powerful as Hampton appears on stage, commanding a screaming crowd, there's an overarching fear that everything can be taken from him in a flash. Kaluuya authentically balances these two personas, providing a complete portrayal of Hampton that will leave you respecting him even more. Hampton left us too soon, but this performance is just one of the ways that his legacy is still burning strong.
You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. 2022, Brendan Fraser, The Whale. You can rarely predict where a star will be every 10 years. In 2002, it was hard to imagine a blockbuster actor like Brendan Fraser struggling to find work. In 2012, it seemed like Fraser's career had peaked a long time ago. In 2022, Fraser delivered the performance of a lifetime in The Whale.
He had me at I'm making a movie, so that's why I went.
Some didn't realize that Fraser had it in him. For his loyal fans, it was the moment they had been waiting for. Fraser shatters your heart as Charlie, a 600-pound man trying to make peace with the time he has left. Receiving a 6-minute standing ovation at the Venice Film Festival, Fraser re-established himself as a star who deserves to remain in the conversation come 2032 and beyond.
People are amazing.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.